Hey. Um, so I wanted to talk to you guys today about toxic relationships and that they come in many forms. I think a lot of times people think about toxic relationships and want to put the blame on other people for them being in a toxic situation. And um, you can have a toxic relationship with yourself. And I think a lot of people are unaware of that. Yeah, you don't need another person to be in a toxic relationship. Um, when it comes to the toxic relationships with yourself, I think the start of that is playing on your pain. We get stuck in cycles of like dwelling on pain and how people have harmed us and done us wrong that we get so wrapped up into that pain and trauma that we are looking through um, traumatic lenses. Like we are looking through the lenses of pain that people can't operate outside of that. You're very paranoid about somebody always trying to get over on you um, because that's what you've known. But the only way you get out of that is for you to see that there is another way to live. Like being in a toxic situation isn't the only way for you to be okay. And I think a lot of times when people be like, oh, they're so dumb, why are they sitting in that? Um, because they don't see nobody else doing that. But a lot of times, even in domestic violence relationships, they partner treats them how other people's partner treat them out in public too. They be like, oh yeah, everybody conducts themselves this way in public, but behind closed doors is when you see that hell. Like that's when people are dealing in their trauma when they're in their own homes. It's not somebody just knocking them out in public. Like they don't see that, and their partner also does not conduct themselves that way in public. So, yeah, just because we like think like, oh yeah, that's not normal. Why would they keep going home to that? They don't know that you're not going home to that. They don't know that that's not everybody's situation because that's what they grew up in, and that's why it's normal to them. So yeah, so you can have toxic relationships with yourself. You can also have, it's not just about relationships. You can have toxic relationships with your family, your friendships, and your relationships. And a lot of the times when it plays into family, people say, you only got one family. You know, that does not mean to let people treat you however they feel that you need to be treated. You still need to hold yourself to a standard with your mother, your siblings, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins the same way you would ask anybody else to treat you. I think that's the craziest thing that I've heard. That they're like, "Oh, that's my mama, that's my daddy. They can do me like that." And maybe they don't feel like they can do them like that. They just don't know nothing different. But still, yeah, put some boundaries down, guys. It's very important. In your friendships, and this can be with family too. As far as people wanting to be I don't even know if people want to be. Because jealousy, I can't see that's something that you just want to wear as a badge. But yes, when you are surrounded by people that are envious and jealous of you, and it's not even from your material things, it's from your physicality or your spirit or your joy or the way people are attracted to you. If somebody is always trying to humble you because they just don't like the way you gleaming, get away from them. Like y'all, we have control over this. Like we just like, yeah, they a hater. We can't control that. You can control being around them. You can control answering their phone calls. You can control texting back. You can control letting them know where you are. You have control over that. And we have to stop those kind of things of being normal in our life so we don't feel comfortable doing those things. Like you have to change your environment so you are no longer comfortable in that anymore. And yeah, when it comes to relationships, I think we get stuck in that one a lot more than other things because, we infuse ourselves with sex, so it's not just like, they aggravate me, I'm gonna give it a couple of days, da, 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 like what you would do with your friends or family. Like, you feel a little bit more inclined to deal, and a lot of times it's because you're living together. A lot of times we get together with somebody and we like, oh, it's all good, it feels warm, it's everything, and then we move in and it's not everything. And because we made this commitment, we just act stuck. And sometimes we are. Like, sometimes people are like, dang, I done got into this and I can't afford to pay the rest of this rent and find somewhere else. I can't afford to do this and make this work. But yeah, we have to take a little more authority in our life. Like, so you saying like, I'll just have the rest of my year miserable, or I'll just deal with settling, or somebody treating me wrong, or putting their hands on me, or like physical, spiritual, emotional, mental abuse. It's all a no, y'all. Like, we be like, oh, they didn't put their hands on me. So I would never deal with what she's dealing with. But it's like, you're still broken from it. You're still not moving according to what God had planned for you from it. The creator, God, universe, whatever y'all want to call it. We get so stuck up on titles. But yeah, that's not what was intended for you, to be just sitting, moping around, being like, I wish this person would love me and treat me like I asked them to. I wish they would. The universe looking at you like, I wish you would. You just go ahead and hold yourself to that standard. I wish you would not allow people to treat you any kind of way. I wish you would feel like you were more important than that. I wish you would not have that no more. Like, we put stuff in people's hands that doesn't belong to them. And we got to be more accountable in that. Like, we have to be more accountable in our struggles, our pains, our hardships. I seen something the other day that said, pain is your prescription to healing. And that's what made me click on the video. I didn't know the person, but yeah, reading that, I'm like, pain is healing. I'm like, what are you talking about? But when you start going over, like, pain is showing up in your life to tell you that something's wrong. And he was saying, like, when it's physical, we don't just be like, oh, my arm broke. My arm's broke. I'm going to just ignore it. And it's going to go away. But we do that to emotional pain, mental pain. Like, we be like, yeah, if I just distract myself from it long enough, like, when I look back, it ain't going to be over there. And guess what? That'll be right there. It still be right there. So we have to, it was very enlightening to hear pain is the prescription to healing. Pain is showing up to tell you something about this didn't feel right to me. Like, something about this situation is like making me stir. It's making me uncomfortable. It's making me think back to a time where I thought was healed up and I forgot about. Like, pain is showing up to be like, this ain't kosher for you. And us ignoring the pain is what keeps us in that traumatic cycle. Instead of being like, yeah, I really am hurt. What is this about? What is it about? Like, we need to get to know ourselves in a way that nobody can say anything that crumbles us. Like, think about that. Like, people's words are really flipping our world upside down. And yeah, it's not that to say that people should be saying evil things to you or conducting themselves in a hateful way towards you. But when they are, why are we asking them to explain why they feel okay with it? Why are we asking that of them? Why aren't we asking ourselves, why do we feel okay with them doing us like that? Like, we really have to start registering inside of self. Like, we need to really get reflective and learn ourselves. Like, know all the pain of our heart, know all the pain of our mind, of our spirit, and to know like some of the physical pain we're now carrying mentally and spiritually and physically, because we are not allowed it to happen, because most of this stuff happened in our childhood. That's what we're growing from. Like, that's what we're living off of, what was normalized in our childhood. So it's like, yeah, now that we're grown and now that we know, like, that mug was crazy as hell for doing us like that, we need to register in that space before we start moving towards somebody else. Like, we have to register in that space of pain to pick out what is not of us. Like, what is not me? What's my mama? What's my daddy? What's my grandparents? What my auntie and uncles? Like, what pain of theirs am I carrying in my life? Like, we really need to start registering those things so we can get to know who we are, how we think, how we move without other people's opinions. Like, it's so important, y'all. It's so important. And yeah, I'm like growing and healing and learning. And I could just keep it to myself, like, and let people look at me and be like, ooh, she just gleaming. Every time I see her, she's smiling, she happy, she in a good mood. She put me in a good mood. It be draining. Sometimes I gotta be not around people because I really do. I'm so empathetic. I want to hear. I want to lift. I want to be the light to people. But I need some more lights. I need y'all to want to be the light too. I want y'all to be like, yeah, let me stop trying to get it from somebody else and let me fix whatever's in me so I can be that too. And then we just get to gleaming. Like, we walk in, everybody blown away. Can I get a partner in the light? And it's not to say my friends are light around me, but we all separated because they need to be light somewhere else. So I'm like, yeah, when people are telling me, oh, you just always make me feel so good, that it does. It does do something to my spirit when people are grateful for it. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, like, I want us all to be good. I don't want to just be good and bring it to you when I come in the room. I want you to feel like this when you by yourself. I want you to feel like this when you in your thoughts thinking about to go to a negative place. Like, whoa, let me come back, because I am it. I am everything that I need. I'm everything I need. Because I know me better than anybody else in this world. People be like, yeah, my mama know me better. How she know you better than you know yourself? How does she know you better than you know yourself? Because you with you every day. And your pains, your struggles, your happy, your joy, your sorrow, you're there. You thinking on it. You moving through it. Like, we need to start learning and knowing ourselves better than anybody else. It only makes sense to me. Like, it only makes sense to me. And I just wanted to make sense to y'all. And if it don't, I guess it ain't for you. But the ones that do make sense to, please start churning, start thinking, start healing, start working, start loving you. Start being your own hero. Ain't nobody coming to save you. But you deserve every piece of the other side of healing. And I know that. So keep working, keep moving. You deserve nothing less.